Hello and welcome to Fergie's Gum. My name is Nathan and I'm joined as always by my good friend Ahmad.
Hi Nathan, how are you?
I'm good. We're a few hours after the Viktoria Plzen game. I believe you watched the second half.
Actually, right? I watched the whole game. I rewatched the first half and yeah.
That's kind of ruined things for me because I was going to say I fell asleep at half time and virtually tagged you in to watch the second half. But I mean, that first half, we just jumped straight into it. That first half was some of the most turgid football I've ever seen Manchester United play.
Yeah, no, it wasn't fun to watch, to be honest. It was very boring. So it makes sense why you fell asleep.
I tried to stay awake, but I couldn't watch the players get into the final third for the umpteenth time and do absolutely nothing with it. I'm very interested about the formation that about the personnel that he decided to put out there. Starting Xerxes over Højlund was a massive shout. Ugarte dropped to the bench again. I know he's rotating. He wants to see where everyone is. I completely understand it, but it was the attacking lineup didn't inspire confidence. Let's say that.
I mean, it makes sense that he went with that because I think the last time Rashford and Xerxes started together, it was versus Everton when we won for 1-0, and both of them scored 2 goals. And with all due respect to Viktoria Plzen, they're not the strongest upside, so it wasn't that big of a risk, to be honest. It was just
But hang on, we say that about Viktoria Plzen, but the only team to have beat them apart from us was Barcelona. Like, they've been undefeated at home for a good, I think ever since they've been in the Europa League or European competition. So they're not pushover.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've read that somewhere as well. Like they were on this unbeaten run at home. So I knew it was going to be a tough game, but still, you'd expect Rashford to be able to score against them, Xerxes to be able to do something against them. But they're not helping themselves, to be honest. Like Xerxes and Rashford, they're not helping themselves with these performances. They're not helping changing the narrative around them. It wasn't easy to watch, to be honest.
The whole game, like I've since watched the second half, like the whole game was just, I don't know, like it was very to and fro, almost like a basketball game without the scoring. It was attack versus defense a lot of the time with both teams. The issue that I have is that even with a new manager, even with a new philosophy, even with new impetus, there's fresh feeling around the club, I imagine. Still seeing these like 4 out of 10 performances from the likes of Rashford, from the likes of Onana, who's had 2 shaky games in a row now, which after being potentially one of the players of the year, he's now got his shakiness back. I know it wasn't helped by them closing down, but you can't have these performances. Ahmad's decision-making wasn't great. Xerxes, I think what he does is he's very good at that one-touch pass, that one-touch layoff, but it very often doesn't go to a person. And I don't know if that's because of he needs to get to know his teammates or if it's just he's just a bit clumsy like that. But there was one moment in the first half where he got the ball, he took his man on, he out-muscled a dude, and then he managed to spin in the area and managed to get a shot off. He missed the target, obviously, but he still managed to do all of that. And I was like, yes, that's what I want to see from him. And then 2 minutes later, he's like, the ball is coming out for a quick break. I know we've got Ahmad and Rashford coming from either side, but he's centre of defence. I just don't think he has that impact from there. He's not like a great tackler. He's not like a great. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. He's not he's there for his aerial threat, obviously, from set pieces. So to clear it, his aerial defence, let's say. He's there for that because he's a big lad, he's a big unit, he can get the ball out. But he continues to stay in those slots. And the more he does that, the more, as you say, he's not doing himself any favours because he should be up the other end scoring goals.
Yeah, I thought his performance was along the lines of everything we've seen from him so far, ever since he came to the club. You can always, whenever he plays, you can always see glimpses of his potential. But then again, that's like 10% of what he does overall. So I don't know.
How would you describe what would the glimpses be? What do you see in him that's promising?
Yeah, just like you said, that clip where he took on the players, like on the defenders, and he managed to. I don't know if it was a shot or he was trying to put it in the box for Rashford or someone. But that was like more of what he's capable of. But I don't know if it's his confidence that doesn't allow him to do that more often. I don't know if he's actually not capable of doing that. But and like the hold-up play, like you're saying, he's big, but I still don't see him, to be honest. Like even when the ball, I think there were like 2 or 3 situations in the first half when Anana played that direct long ball and it actually came straight to Xerxes, but he just couldn't hold it up. And even when it came like directly to his head, I don't think he's a good header of the ball. So yeah, just I don't know. Like he's not using his attributes to what should benefit the team. Because if he can actually hold up the play and like Onana can play that ball directly to him, that would create chances like so many times. But like as a forward, like as a forward being there to score goals, I don't think he's there for that, to be honest.
Would you say that he's, because we've been some of his like biggest champions, you know, give him time, let him settle. Are you starting to worry a little bit now?
I don't know. Like the only reason I'd be worried is because of the overall situation that we have as a team. Because in any other club or like any other stable club that's winning or like actually doing well, you would give him a chance because it's okay. Like he needs time. And you can see that with time he can probably turn into something good. But with the situation that we have right now, especially us needing to sell players to buy players, I think he's one of those who can actually be moved on because he hasn't proved himself yet, and we can still get some money back from him, which is what I said. I think the last time you asked me like about Højlund and Xerxes. So the only reason I'd be worried is because of that.
In pure contrast to that, Højlund jumps off the bench and comes on and has a 2-star cameo and just bags a couple of goals. First one was quite fortunate with. Second one, great finish, turn and finish. And when you watch that second half, especially when the subs were made, the whole build-up style of the team changed because all of a sudden there was a target man in the middle that was rushing the box, that was trying to get into those areas where Xerxes should have been. And we were trying to put the ball in. Well, apart from when Ahmad didn't square the ball to Højlund and they had a bit of an argument about it. But I want to see that. I want to see players arguing about those things because those are the things that matter. You could have had a hat-trick out of that. But I think Højlund has established himself as the number one striker for United. And obviously we'll talk about the Manchester derby later. But for me, he has to start the weekend. I think if you're going to get the best if you're going to score goals, then you have to have him sat there. Because Xerxes is so hit and miss. As you say, I think it's a confidence issue. He really does look like he's carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. Same with Rashford as well. I don't know what's going on with him. Like he can't beat a man anymore. He's lost his explosiveness. It's a worry. It's a concern. And you can see in games like this, I know it's a Europa League game, it's important to get past the opposition that's in front of you. But you can see why the rumours about this entire squad, bar a few players, is up for sale or is open to potential bids. Because some of them most of them just aren't at the races. They just don't seem like they're on it at all.
Yeah, on Rashford, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with him, to be honest. That has been going on for a while. I don't know if this system doesn't suit him. Like he can't play in one of those number 10 roles, and he obviously can't play as a number 9. Yeah, but like you said, he can't even take on his man. Even his passes, they're always delayed, and they're either the wrong pass or he actually misplaces the pass. We're not seeing that player that we've seen, for example, 2 seasons ago, where he can actually take on a player and have a shot. I don't know, and he's not getting into the positions to score. It's just like, I don't know what's wrong with him. I just don't. It doesn't look happy. Like you've always said this, and many people agree. Like he just doesn't seem to be enjoying his football anymore. He doesn't play with a smile on his face. Yeah, every time you look at him, you feel like he's. I don't want to say that he doesn't want to be there, but that's what it looks like.
I think that's fair to say. I think that's fair to say, because I think that's what it does look like. Whereas, previously, if he'd have made a mistake, you'd see him busting a gut to get back, win the ball, and then straight away he's back up the pitch again. And he's beating his man and he's running into space. But I don't know if it's a change of tactics, but this has been happening since last season, so you can't really blame Amorim for this. But
exactly,
he never seems to be unleashed in behind. Do you know what I mean? They never seem to play that ball into him anymore because he's never there, or they don't trust him to have that speed to get in behind anymore. It's a weird and really sad thing. What is he now? Is he 28, 27, 28?
I think he's 27, turning 28, yeah. Or 26, turning 27. But
prime of his career, mate. He's in the prime of his career.
I think he should move on. I think he should move on for his sake, to be honest. Because, like I said, I love Rashford because he's one of those players that I feel like I saw him growing up. And he's one of the first players that I was conscious enough to actually follow everything he's been doing. We always thought that he has potential, and he's a local lad. He's done really well for the club. I'm not gonna take anything away from him. He's done really well for the club, but it's okay if sometimes, it's like any relationship. If both sides aren't happy, then it would be healthier for both sides to go different ways, and maybe that's the solution for him and for the club. Because if we sell him, we get pure profit because he's an academy product. So, and that would help us a lot, especially in the situation that we're in right now.
It does feel like it's getting that way with Rashford. Like, I'd be heartbroken if he did leave like this as well, But I think, as you say, something's missing now, and if it's an unhealthy relationship, then it's better to just leave it, move on, start again somewhere else. And I think that's, as you say, great for the club, great for him as a person and as a player for his career. So, let's see how that plays out. Let's see how the January window plays out. But just going back to the result, that it lifts us up to 7th in that stupid Europa League weird format that they've changed this year. We're looking at, I think it's 2 games now. It's 2 games, and if we win the next one, I think we've qualified without the playoffs. I think that's how it works.
I'm not sure, but I think we have to win both, or at least win and draw, because we're 7th, and even Spurs are behind us. Everyone's very close. So we need to win, I think, both games.
True.
But they're winnable games.
It has become one of those competitions now that has become significant for United, because we're so far down in the Premier League, top 4, forget it. I can't see that happening this season. But it's become the Europa League. We need to do well in it and potentially win it. That's all I'm saying. That's our ticket to get into the Champions League next season.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's very important that we don't go into the playoffs, because I think those 2 games, I think without them we're gonna have more time to train, which we're not gonna have time for otherwise. So yeah, it's very important that we do. And just about the game, like I need to give a special mention to Mason Mount, to be honest, because part of the like everyone watched the game, and a lot of people are saying that turning point was Hoyland coming on, but it was also Mason Mount coming on, to be honest. And they played on the left, those number 10 role, and he was actually really, really good. You can see the difference when he's on the pitch. I'm always going to say that. You can see the difference when he's on the pitch. He's just a smart player. His work rate is really good, which we need, and which I think is contagious for the players around him. So when he keeps on running, players around him are gonna even run. They're gonna run as well. So there's a big difference when he's on the pitch and from when Rashford was on the pitch as well. So I think that was a turning point, and yeah, I think he should also start on Sunday against City
in place of Rashford.
Yeah, 100%. And Garnacho, whenever he comes, Garnacho is not doing that well when he's playing. So,
well, we can discuss that further in the section where we talk about the Manchester derby. It'll be interesting to see who you're putting in midfield as well. With the news that the majority of the Manchester United squad is up for sale, it does bring things into view, mostly that there was some absolutely appalling signings that are still overhanging from previous managers within this squad. So Amorim and Ineos are both tasked with clearing out the deadwood, I guess, because that's the only way that they're going to be able to move forward with this. So what we thought we would do is we thought we would look at the worst signings per manager post Sir Alex Ferguson. And there's some surprising ones in there. And the biggest, we'll start with Moyes, David Moyes, obviously. We'll go in chronological order. We'll start with David Moyes. Do you know what the interesting thing to me was, mate, about the Moyes reign? Which I must have just had one of those Men in Black brain memory wipe pens, that he only signed 2 players during his entire reign.
Yeah.
But I guess it only lasted 6 months or whatever it was. 10 months, was it?
I guess, yeah. But it was a disaster because the whole summer we kept on chasing players. I don't know. Fabregas, even like Bale, even Cristiano was on the agenda for a while. Thiago Alcantara. It was, yeah, and then we ended up with Fellaini.
Well, with 2 players that we've got to choose from for the worst signings that those managers made. So it was between Marouane Fellaini and Juan Mata. And I know it's kind of unfair to say this, but Fellaini was the worst signing out of those. Because I think he typified what David Moyes thought he was bringing to Manchester United. He thought, I'm going to bring a trusted person that I believe can do this job at Everton, and he's going to be able to do it here. And it was just, he was a cult hero in the end, and he scored some important goals. And I don't hate Fellaini. I think he was a solid player. But when it's between the 2, I just think Mata contributed more to that reign and Manchester United than Fellaini did overall. Who have you chosen?
I couldn't choose between them, to be honest. I think, to be honest, both of them are one of our best signings post-Fergie. And that's saying something because they didn't achieve a lot at the club, but I love both of them, to be honest. And I think I mentioned this to you on a previous podcast, that Fellaini, he gets so much undeserved hate. I think that the reason is a lot of United fans were in denial that we're not that good anymore. So they always, I don't know, they use Fellaini as the scapegoat, as a representation of how far we've fallen, but he was actually really good. And to be honest, like we could use a Fellaini in our team right now. Any team could use a Fellaini. To be honest, he was one of those players that you can depend on them. You just can't depend on them. They produce. His attitude was always top notch, and and he, like you said, he scored a lot of important goals that people seem to forget.
But unfortunately, the format of this section means that you have to choose between one of them. so you have to choose between.
If I have to choose between them,
cheeky little Van Latter or big burly chested Marwan Fellaini.
I don't know. You don't have to put it that way, to be honest. To be honest, I'd go. I think Mata wasn't as good as people say. So, yeah, so I'd go Mata.
Okay, interesting. Moving on to Van Gaal. I'll let you go first this time.
With Van Gaal, we had a lot of bad signings.
There was a lot of middle of the road, what I would call 6 out of 10 players in that team. Daley Blind was one of them. Marshall, again, on his day, brilliant, but majority of that was 6 out of 10 performances.
It has to be Di Maria. I think Di Maria is, he's definitely the worst signing we've had. He's one of the worst signings we've had in general, and under Van Gaal is definitely Di Maria.
See, I've got Di Maria. I also put a special mention in for Schneiderlin as well, because that just absolutely fizzled out. Like I quite like Morgan Schneiderlin, and I was really excited about him coming in and doing the key role for Man United, for someone that we haven't had for ages. And it was just a massive disappointment. But no, Di Maria, by far, just the wrong player at the wrong time. I know there's been many stories about it. You know, I think his house got burgled, didn't it, when he was at a game? So he never really settled in Manchester. But you could just tell that his heart wasn't there. He didn't want to leave. He was from Madrid, wasn't it? Was it from Real Madrid? Yeah. So he didn't want to leave there, and it was just, typifies that era of Van Gaal, like flash signings. I think he also signed Falcao as well during that run.
Yeah.
Just taking a chance on these South Americans that didn't necessarily fit in. But yeah, by a margin, Di Maria was the worst signing. And there's no love lost. He hated his time at Man United, and he hates the club. So fair enough.
Yeah, I think we had like... about Di Maria, I think we just had like a lot of expectation, and we were just let down. Yeah.
I think the tipping point for Di Maria actually was when he'd had a great game. I think it was against Leicester, and we was in that game, and then I think we lost like 5-3.
Yeah.
Did Maria score a hat trick in that game, or am I wrong? Did he score?
Just
he scored a lob.
Yeah. A lob. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it didn't work out. You're right, though. There was a lot of expectation on him to come in. The number 7 shirt again, wasn't it? The curse.
Yep. The curse.
It's been cursed ever since, what's he called? Mike Owen wore it. That's it. Cursed forever now.
Yeah, makes sense.
Moving swiftly on, Jose Mourinho. Who have you got?
I don't know. To be honest, like value for money, I think Pogba, but he wasn't bad. So, and maybe like Lukaku. I'd go Lukaku, even though he was good.
Oof.
I love Lukaku, but
okay.
Value for money, because we didn't really sign. Like I think Mourinho, he didn't really get the players that he wanted, except for probably like the last season. He was here. I think that was part of the issue why everything got tense, because he wasn't getting the players that he wanted. I don't know, like you could say Fred, but Fred was good. So yeah, I think Mourinho signed good players, but some of them didn't work out.
Can I offer you an Alexis Sanchez as the worst possible Mourinho signing?
I didn't see him. But
yeah,
it's definitely Sanchez.
Sanchez was. I am still embarrassed and cringy at the way that we announced him. It was during this like Man United Woodward driven announcements of these players. Like we did that Pogba thing with Stormzy and Pogba, which was fun, you know. And then we did the piano thing with Sanchez, and it was like, okay, this is getting cringy now. And it never worked out with him. Again, a swap deal that seemed like it was going to be the best thing to do, and it just turned into a disaster. And that was when players came into United, and even now, when good players come to United, there's high expectations of them, and they all seem to fall flat. And it must be to do with the foundations of the club, because Sanchez was tearing it up for Arsenal. And he was doing really well. And I know that because he was in my fantasy football teams for a majority of those seasons while he was there. And he could conjure things out of nothing, comes to United, asked to do a slightly different job, just fell away. And I think every Man United fan was happy to see the back of him when he did leave, because it was just a disaster, a high cost disaster. There's a pattern to all of these players where it's like spending a hell of a lot of money and then never recouping it all back. And that's why we're in the financial situation that we're in right now.
Exactly. Yeah, I think
disaster.
I think everyone. It's definitely Alexis Sanchez. I think he's definitely the worst signing under Mourinho. And it was the start of Mourinho's like downfall at United, because I think at that time Rashford and Martial were playing really well. Like they were, I think, their best form under Mourinho, and he got him in. You could say that the fact that Martial just fizzled out because of Alexis Sanchez coming in says more about Martial's mentality more than about the fact that Mourinho did that. But I think he just ruined the dynamic. Again, the number 7 curse. Yeah, he was. I don't think he had a single good performance, to be honest. Like when you think of it, I think the only one that comes to mind was against City when we came back from 2-0 down to 3-2. Other than that, I can't remember. Like maybe he scored against Arsenal in the FA Cup away. You remember that? So I can't remember anything. No. So I think he's definitely the worst.
I think a lot of these players, like you remember, if you're struggling to remember any good times with them, then you know that they're about signing. That's the good thing about this whole format. Okay, moving on to Solskjaer then. There's a few contenders in this list for various reasons, but I'll let you go first. Who've you got there?
Solskjaer, it's between two for me. It's between Donny van de Beek and Jadon Sancho. Definitely between those two. What about you?
Well, I've got Van de Beek on there. I think overall, in terms of performance, he's the worst signing. Maybe the worst signing that we've had in the last 10 years. Because he came with so much promise and he delivered nothing. Like, literally nothing. Say what you will about, like, injuries and things like that, but even when he was fit, he offered 0 to, like, nothing. I mean, they're both the same thing, but he offered absolutely zilch when it came to performances. Sancho, more of a character thing, why he was a bad person, a bad signing to have. There's still, he's still a Manchester United employee on paper. We never seem to get the best out of him. It'd be interesting to see what would have happened if Ten Hag hadn't fallen out with him. But, those things do count against them as being a bad signing. But there's another left field answer that I've got in here as well, which again signalled, as you said before, the Sanchez thing with Mourinho. Ronaldo with Solskjaer kind of signalled the beginning of the end for him as well. Because I think we tried so hard to stop him from going to Man City and it happened with Sanchez. We tried so hard to stop him from going to Manchester City that we maybe overpaid, overpromised, and Ronaldo came in and it was just it was great to begin with. I loved singing his song again, but then it was just like, he knew what was wrong with that club, but the way that he left it was in a terrible way. I still think it splits fans on whether or not they'll accept him back at Old Trafford, because one day he's going to retire and he's going to want to be an ambassador somewhere. He'll get that at Real Madrid, I guess, but is he welcome back at Old Trafford?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I don't think any of the fans would argue that, because especially United fans, they were very emotional and we were very loyal. So I don't think anyone would let that period of his career at United change the whole picture. Because in 10 years, we're not gonna, like, if you think of Ronaldo, you're not gonna think of the Ronaldo in the second stint. You're just gonna remember Ronaldo in his first stint and what he did for the club. So yeah, it was unfortunate the way it panned out. I wouldn't say he's the worst signing, but yeah, he is one of, he's one of the worst signings, but he is definitely not the worst, because to be fair to him, first season, he did well. Even though I'm 100% with you, and I will die on this hill that he was the reason why Solskjaer, like, just suddenly everything like went sour with him, because people seem to forget the season before that we were doing really well, and even the season before, second, and Europa League final, which we lost on penalties because De Gea can't save a single shot and he can't score his own. But other than that, Solskjaer did really well, and till now he's still, for me, he's still the best. Like, it was the period where I felt, this is the period that I actually see the club going somewhere.
Yeah.
It was under Solskjaer. But when Ronaldo came, I think it ruined a lot of the dynamic that we had. And but like Sancho, 75 million. Again, I don't remember a single good performance from him. The issues that he caused, the fact that he had to go to the Netherlands for I don't know how many months to work on himself. He comes back, he starts issues again. His attitude was stinky, and he didn't do anything to back like that attitude. So Sancho and Van de Beek, to be honest, like, again, I don't remember a single good performance for him.
No.
So
in terms of just on-field action and potential, Van de Beek is, by far the worst signing of Ole's career. And they even did that. Like, I always feel a bit bad about it, because Van der Sar, obviously he was director of football at Ajax at the time. And do you remember they took a page out in the Manchester Evening News, I think it was? Ajax did, and they wrote like a big thing about, like, look after Donny for us.
No,
it was like a really nice thing that they put out there. And it just never worked. Just never worked at all. Now, this may change somewhat further down the line, but Ten Hag's terrible signings, there's one that stands out massively and always will do. And I know this is harsh. I'm just going to say it anyway. You might get another Dutchman that might turn out to be one of his worst signings a little bit further down the line as well. Poor Joshua Zirkzee.
Yeah.
But who's your pick for Ten Hag? He signed a lot of players.
He did. But it's definitely Anthony. 100% Anthony. Just if Anthony came in for 20 million, 30 million, I don't think we'd be talking about him in this way, because first season he was actually good. Yeah. I really liked Anthony in the first season. He did well. He was very important to the way we were playing. And we did well that first season. But I think just the transfer fee just weighed on him like a lot. And I think he just kept on progressing ever since. And he's definitely the worst signing But Xerxes, I don't know.
I think it's like, I know it's controversial to say it, but you can, like, I've got mates that support lots of different teams, and they've obviously watched Man United, like, and some of them have been as harsh as to say that he's barely a football, which I'll never say because it's just cruel and it's just, it's not a very nice thing to say. I think he's lacking confidence, but he's not very good, is he? Like, in terms of like being in the right position, he's not very good. I'm not saying, let me have this on record, that he's one of Ten Hag's worst signings right now. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if he eventually gets sold and doesn't produce anything over the next, like, 6 months, whatever it is, or if he gets sold in January, then he will prove to be one of the worst signings that he's put into the club.
It depends how much we get back for him. Like, if we sell him for 30 million, 35 million, then I think that would be okay.
Who's paying that for Joshua Xerxes, though?
No, he's still young. Actually, whenever he plays for the Netherlands, he's good. He's one of their better players. He did really well at Bologna. He's a Bayern graduate. He's not that bad. Like, our team is just so dysfunctional that it's very easy for a player to look so bad. But if you put him in another team, I still think there's a player there. And with Bologna last season, what they've done, he was essential to the way they were playing, and yeah, like, everyone, they exceeded expectation. I think Juve could take him, to be honest. I think Thiago Motta would love him at Juve. Yeah, I think he would do well there as well.
Can we swap him for Vlahovic?
You wouldn't want Vlahovic, to be honest. You wouldn't want Vlahovic. I've watched Juve a lot, and he's not that, but yeah, we can actually take just Juve. We've been linked to him as well. Yildiz. He's a he's a left winger / forward. He's actually really, really good. He's Turkish. He's still young. I think he's 20 or 19 even. But you'd have to pay a lot of money for him. But he's actually, I think he would be perfect for that number 10 in the Arrow system.
But we can both agree Ten Hag's worst signing was Anthony, right?
100%. That's the easiest one out of all of them.
So we've just had an on-the-minute report, a here we go from Fabrizio Romano. For who, Ahmad?
For Diego Leon.
The left-back who I know nothing about, but I watched some of his clips on YouTube last night.
Same.
He's 17 years old. Where's he playing? He's in South America. I know that.
He's Paraguay.
Paraguay, okay. What I noticed, the most interesting thing that I noticed, and I know this sounds like hyperbole, but he is an absolute unit. He's 17. He's 181 centimetres, so he's over 6 foot, I think. And the way that he plays football is like a young Wayne Rooney. Like, that is the build of him smashing into other players, like, that are, like 10 years older than him, and managing to retain the ball, and the way that he jumps into tackles and holds himself, it does remind me of Rooney when he broke onto the scene. I'm not saying he'll be as good as him. He plays in a completely different position, but that's like that physical unit you could see coming straight in and playing a part in this Manchester United team.
I get it. Yeah, I can see what you're talking about. Yeah, he's from what I've seen in the clips, he looks good. He looks impressive. Of course, you have to take into consideration the league he's playing in and the teams he's playing against. But he's still young. I think he's gonna come in. He's definitely gonna be with the under-21s for a while. But I like that we're doing these signings, like these young signings, and you can see. I think there's a pattern to these younger players that we've been signing under Ineos, that, like you said, their physical attributes at that age are above average, and they're impressive. For example, Chido Abi Martin, even Seko Kone, and now Diego Leon. So let's see. I'm not going to get my hopes up. I'm not going to say anything, to be honest. I'm just going to wait and see. I think I've learned that lesson in the past 10 years.
It's depressing, really. But one thing that I will say is the knock-on effect to this, obviously he plays left back. Luke Shaw's legs are made of dust. Malacia has started playing well, but he seems to get, like, he's not matched it yet. So, we have to manage that correctly. And then going out and buying Diego Leon, it'd be interesting to see if he does come into the first team at all this season. But you have to spare a thought for Harry Amas, who was touted as and maybe this is just, what fans want to do, they only talk in positives or negatives. There's no in between. But Amas was supposed to be the natural replacement for Luke Shaw, the natural successor to Luke Shaw. But he has fallen down the pecking order so much. I don't think he's been in, and I might be wrong, and I've been wrong before, I don't think he's been in any Amarim's matchday squads yet. Any of them.
I think he's been in one only. But yeah, I think we touched on this previously, that it's because he's physically not ready, which is fine. Like, he's still young, he's still developing. Yeah. Technically, I think we can all see that he has what it takes, and that's why people are, like, fans are getting excited, because technically he's really good. We saw that also in preseason when he played a few games. Maybe we're just giving him time to develop, because we don't want him. We don't want to throw him in the deep end and then just knock his confidence down. And he could. Competition is healthy, so he still could be the one that we're planning for the next seasons. But Diego Leon is there for competition as well, and we've seen that you can never have too many left backs, because they keep getting injured, and they're very important for what Amr wants to do. So, yeah.
One of the things about Harry Amas is he always reminds me of Dan James. I don't know if that's unfair or not, but he's got that sort of wispiness of Dan James, where you know that he's got the pace, he can get through, he's technically gifted, but just doesn't quite have that physicality to cut it at the top end of the league. He's doing all right at Leeds now, Dan James, so, fair play to him. But would that be a fair comparison in terms of the slightness of the boy, Harry Amas?
I haven't seen enough of him to be able to judge. But Dan James, first season, I thought he was very important for Solskjaer. But even the performances that we had, for example, against City away, although even Liverpool at home, all those teams that we used to play on the counter against, Dan James was one of the most important players, and he was one of the players that enabled us to do that. So I think, I don't know, maybe it's a bit unfair, but let's see. Amas, I think, is just for the fact that he's still young and he's still developing, and you never know. Like, maybe in a few years he's going to be the starting left back, because he has what it takes for that.
Regardless, welcome to Manchester, Diego Leon. It's the big one of the weekend, mate. The big Manchester derby. Both of the teams, would you say, in fact, Manchester United, for the first time in a long time, are probably going into this game in better form than Manchester City, who have lost... they've only won one in the last 10 games. Yeah. And they got beat again at midweek by Juventus away in Turin, even though they dominated possession. But that seems to be the theme of things at the moment. They seem to be dominating teams but getting hit on the counter-attack, and they seem to be conceding goals just left, right and centre at the moment. But how do you think this one's going to go? It's at the Etihad Arena. How do you think it's going to go?
No idea, to be honest. Can go literally either way. Both teams are unpredictable. I don't know. Like I kept on trying to think what the score could be or how the game could turn out. So we could win it easily if we wanted to, but I think City can win it if they wanted to as well. And I'm more leaning towards City winning it, just for the fact that it's at the Etihad, and yeah, like lately, Manchester derbies, I think we've won 1 out of the last 6 or something. So yeah, I'm not really looking forward to it. What about you?
No, me neither. I'm not looking forward to it. But he's got Mainu and Ugarte, which he can pair again in the centre of midfield. He seems to quite like Casemiro playing in there, doesn't he? In that central midfield spot. I thought he played okay last night. I thought Casemiro did. Yeah, he didn't really do anything wrong. And like, the one thing I would like to see him stop doing is going to ground so early in a tackle, because I don't want it to be that last ditch. I want you to be able to, use your positioning. But do you think he will start Mainu and Ugarte, or do you think they're rested for the game at the weekend, or do you think it'll be Casemiro +1?
I think this game would be ideal for Casemiro-Ugarte partnership. But Casemiro played almost the full game last night. And I think at his age, especially with Amram rotating all the time, I don't think he's going to start. I think Maino, he didn't come on. He was just Ugarte came on for the last, 5-10 minutes. I think it's Ugarte for sure. But who is it going to be? Like, it could be Bruno again, because we saw that at the Emirates. Could be Bruno at centre midfield with Ugarte. I think it's probably going to be Bruno and Ugarte, even though I don't really like Bruno in the centre midfield position. But I think it's probably because Maino, I think, is still not up to pace. I think he's still building up his fitness after being out for so long. We saw against Forest, I don't think there was enough. So it wasn't like, okay, they're for sure these two are going to have to be starting together from now on. So, for me, I think it's probably going to be either Ugarte and Casemiro or Ugarte and Bruno.
Do you think the front three kind of picks itself then with Mount, Højlund and Ahmad?
Watching the game last night, I think Ahmad was really good in his position, but for the team, I think it's better if Ahmad plays in the right wing back role, because we lose a lot when he doesn't play there. We saw Diogo Dalot play there. I'm not going to say anything about that because, I think I've said
let's
enough.
Explore it. Let's explore it.
No. I'd rather not, to be honest. I don't want to ruin my mood. He's this guy.
He was a Jose Mourinho signing. You could have had him as worst signings, by the way.
I was considering it, but just for the fact that he cost like 20 million, that's the only reason I didn't go for it. But he's Diogo Dalot. I don't know what's going on with him. I just don't think he's good enough. I think literally, if anyone comes in January ready to pay 40 million, just take it and run. I think it's better if Ahmad plays in the right wing back role.
I think you're right. I prefer to see him at that right wing back role, and then it frees up someone that can play a bit further forward. But then who would you put into that position? So you've got like Mount, obviously, or Rashford on the left. You've got Højlund in the middle. I think that's a done deal. I don't think Xerxes is going to be starting this game. And then off the right, would you play Garnacho?
Yeah. You could play Garnacho. Yeah, Garnacho. I know he's not still setting the world alight so far, but out of position he runs. He works hard for the team. I think you need that against City away, and he seems to do well against City when he plays. For example, FA Cup final, he did well. It wouldn't be the worst idea. And to play him off the right, because Mount looked better off the left. because we saw against Arsenal, it was the other way around. So Mount was on the right, Garnacho was on the left. It wasn't good. So maybe try to switch it up. Højlund, he needs to prove that he can do well against better defenses and better defenders. I think he needs to prove. I think he needs to use this game to actually show that he is the player that we can depend on, because it's all nice and good playing against Viktoria Plzen, scoring 2 goals. Against Bodo Glimt, okay, yeah, he scored 2 goals. But when it comes to the big teams, the stronger teams, against Nottingham Forest, yeah, he scored a goal, but he was non-existent the whole game. Arsenal, he was bullied. He needs to start proving that he can actually do well against good defenders. And so far, he hasn't done that.
He's what we call in the industry a flat track bully. He's good against weak defences and when the conditions are good. So, but I still believe in him. I still think he's the better option out of him and Xerxes. You know, I sent you that message, what Xerxes posted on Instagram earlier, which was a picture clearly from his social media team, but he posted on his Instagram stories just a picture of him just skipping a challenge, which looks like, if you didn't know and didn't watch the game, that he then went on to score a goal, because the goal was in the picture as well. But I think that's when he flashed it like into the side netting. But yeah, it's just that's social media and footballers for you. But I think I'm quite positive about the whole game, mate. I think they can be got at. I think we can be got at. But I think when you've got that 2 leaky defences where anything can happen, I think it's going to be a good game. And I think, as you say, it could go either way. But the one thing that's always worried me about the Manchester derby is, where is the actual goals going to come from? Where are we going to get any joy from when we attack them? Because we never used to be able to penetrate unless it was just on the counter attack. But now with Amorim's system, I feel like there's overlaps that can be created. I feel like we've got options with Højlund being the target man, Xerxes possibly coming on and trying to link things as well. And their defence has been woeful, like really shockingly bad. Vadiol's been a disaster, absolute disaster. He'll turn into prime Beckenbauer, obviously, at the weekend. But he's it's good that they can be got at. So I'm not going into this game with the trepidation that I used to do, with like, oh my God, this is going to get hammered. You still might, but I'm feeling slightly optimistic about this one.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, like I think you should.
Sorry, go on, keep going.
No, I just want to say, like, I think Amorim should use the blueprint that he used against them when he was at Sporting in the game, like when they beat them 4-1, I think, or 4-2, I'm not sure. I think he should use that blueprint. We all know City are not going to change their system or their way. They're always going to play that high line. They always want to dominate possession. And I think if we just play low block and play on the counter, there's nothing wrong with that. And we've seen that when teams do that against City, especially in the last 10 games, yeah, they're doing well. Even the game they won against Forest 3-0, I think that scoreline flattered them, to be honest, because Forest had chances, but they missed. So yeah, I think I think there's a way for us to win this game, but I just hope the players turn up, because I'm sure he's going to set us up to win, and his tactics are going to be like suitable to win the game. But I think it's just the players that are let him down.
Speaking of players turning up, who's going to be your FPL pick from this United team this weekend?
Absolutely no one. Just yeah, literally there's no one I would pick for this game. Probably the only one I would go for is Ahmad again, just for the fact that he's cheap and he's chipping in with goals and assists. That's the only one I can think of.
I think Højlund could be a good differential this weekend. I think he could be a good differential. But the one thing that I am going to do with fantasy football this week is I'm going to keep Haaland as my captain. I might even triple captain him, because if he has an absolute stinker, then, that's just on me. That's just on me. And then we win, and then hopefully Man United could win the game. But I feel like I can curse him if I triple captain him this weekend.
I think you should. I think you should triple captain him.
So, score predictions then.
I don't know. I really hope we win this game, because if we would, then it would be like a springboard, and we need those points, and we can go on a run afterwards, because it's going to be a huge boost of confidence. Saying that, I think it's going to be 1-1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going 6-0 Man United. Why not?
Why?
Let's get it out there. I don't know. Why not?
I mean,
why not?
Because you're
I think it'll be.
like,
I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be a very close game, and I think it'll be one goal that will nick it. But I think both teams will score, and then I'm leaning more towards like a 2-1, and I'm going to lean towards City winning it 2-1. But this might be, it's a big occasion, mate, because this might be the last time the Manchester derby's played at the Etihad for the foreseeable future, because they'll be relegated out of the conference after June next year.
Let's hope so, to be honest. Can't wait.
Right, there we go then. End of another podcast. Hopefully the next time we're talking to you, we will be celebrating a famous victory over Manchester City. I can't see, it's Manchester United. You just never know what's going to happen over the week, do you? Another Jason Wilcox might be sacked. You never know. Barada might leave. So Jim might sell the club. Who knows? But do follow us on Blue Sky. If you just type Fergie's Gun, I've realised, into the search bar, you'll find us straight away. And make sure that you're following the podcast on YouTube, which is Fergie's Gun Podcast, I think, where we're posting quite a few YouTube shorts, which seems to be doing okay. So yeah, we'll keep that going. Think of it as like a tiny nugget of this entire podcast. Just the interesting bits. Anyway, thanks for listening, and we'll speak to you again next week.